Hey everybody, Bill in Virginia. Welcome back. So, starting this episode over in the service area, and there is my engine house. So, I still have a little bit more work to do on the engine house itself. I've got to chalk up the main doors a little bit. I've just got them painted, so I will kind of weather them a little bit. This kit has movable doors, and the instructions were to take like a 1/4 inch piece of wire and do a 90 on it and insert. My old eyes and hands were too shaky, so I just inserted a rod that went through all of the hinges, and it's hanging. You can kind of see it there. It's small enough that I don't care. It looks good to my eye, so I'm going to leave it. Next thing that I'm going to do is I will come in and add additional cork in and around this area, up to that track, and then in behind and kind of all the way around, so that I've got a nice solid base. Right now I've got a couple of pieces of small scrap wood on the far corner just holding it up level. Once I get all of that in, I will come back in and I will trace out the outline on the inside of the building, and easy to do because the roof comes right off. Then what I'm going to do is I will add in flooring on the inside of this engine house, including in between the tracks that fits the space. So that is stuff that I'm going to be working on this episode. Should be fun. I should have by the end of this one, this area at least done with basics. Some super detailing, some other odds and ends, probably not, but I will at least have it reasonably done, including the scenery. So let's see what I can get done here. Well, Wednesday night is now coming to a close. I have the cork laid out underneath the engine house. I will let that sit overnight. I use wood glue. Again, it's a very flat piece of plywood, so don't need to really put anything on it. Wood glue grabs it quick and it sets. So yeah, this looks nice. I've got the clearance on the other side, so no issues with clearance there. The engine house seems to fit pretty well in this little scene here. So yeah, I'm liking it. So tomorrow I will lay out the shape of the floor, and then start looking to see how I want to build that up. That should not take too long to add in the decking in here. The engine house will be able to be lifted off, so that decking will actually be the sort of the grab for the engine house. So yeah, I've got some ideas. We'll figure out tomorrow how I'm going to do it. So one last little segment for tonight. I got in a bunch of those Arista figures for Christmas, and I've got 4 of them sitting here. So 4 hobos. I am going to build like a little fire pit, maybe add a drum, just a couple of other details. I don't want to make it too messy on the scene, but hobo playing a harmonica, one guy propped up against a little log, another one drinking, and then one sacked out. And then this hobo is coming to join them. So do a little bit more detailing on that. I'll probably get that finished up in this video too. Now I'm wrapping it up for a Wednesday night. And now this will be the last one for a Wednesday night. I did find one place for one of the carts and a couple of guys coming out of the woods. So that one looks pretty good right there, and I think that will take care of it for the people in the logging area. So now I'm wrapping up Wednesday night. Thursday morning, and I've been out on the layout for just a little while. You can see I've got the outline of the interior of the building laid out on the cork. I've cut up strips already for between the rails, using that strip wood that I just got off eBay here not too long ago. Perfect height for it. It's not glued in yet. I will use super glue to tack it down permanently here a little later. But what I've been doing is I've taken a scrap piece of flex track and pulled the rails off, cut the ties off, scraped off the spikes and tie plates if there was any, and then cut the ties in half. And I'm using these as shims so that when I continue on the floor this direction and the other direction, it will be perfectly level and at the exact same height as here, because it's the exact same ties that it's going on. A quick, easy way to make it so that your flooring is level without having to do any shims, do any pours, any complicated work, just using materials at hand. Now, even though you can't see it on this, I did take a piece of sandpaper and just roughed up the back of the ties. What I'll do is I'll use a few drops of super glue on each one, then carefully set it into place so that I'm just a little bit on the inside of the line. Once the building is back in place, it's going to hide all of this. You're never going to see the ties unless I pull the building off and then kind of go down and give a different view. So I'm going to be gluing those in here in the near few minutes before I move on to the next step. Before I do the gluing, I'm going to get a putty knife and I'm going to kind of scrape up some of this glue here and here, the adhesive that I used to glue the track down. Doesn't seem to be bothering anything because the building was sitting on it nice, but I'll just kind of get rid of some of the higher points just right here, and that's all that I have to worry about. Stuff in the back, it doesn't bother the little shed, and the building rests well on it, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. But I'll come back after I get this stuff glued and a test fit for the engine house, and then we'll continue to move on. I've got the little cut ties all glued in place right now. I'm going to let everything set for a little bit, make sure the super glue has tacked well and dried up. And then I will test fit the building on top of it. And once that's done, I will start to glue down the floorboards. This little project for this isn't going to take too long. Should have it done by the end of the day, even doing other things here. Test fit is done, and that works well. Next step, starting to put the boards in. That'll take me a little while, but that should be very straightforward. Just making sure I've got the right lengths, some staggered joints, just to make it look good, and then some final trim and fit to make sure the building sits on it well. But I'm going to get started on that here pretty quick. Getting the floor put in. It's later Thursday afternoon, so I've got it between the rails glued in, and it really isn't taking very long. I cut a bunch to size. Now I'm going to go back and cut some smaller pieces. I've got enough already cut to do this, but I'll get a few more pieces cut different sizes so that I can just sort of trim right here in my little workspace. But I should have the floor in probably about another 10-15 minutes, and then that part will be done. There we go. Floor is in. I'll just let everything cure. It's set up well before I do a test fit of the building. And if I need to do anything, slight trim, or maybe just get my little sanding block out to take a little bit off here and there. But otherwise, those strips I got off eBay, that worked perfect. So a nice looking floor. All right, I'll give it a little bit and then come back in and do the test fit and then go on to do something different. Well, you know what? That is good enough for me. Fairly snug fit, just a little bit of wiggle room, which is fine and dandy. No problem with that. Looks good from this end. I'm calling this particular one a success. Now I can start doing some of the basic scenery around it, and as well as get the ballast in on this particular track, and probably can put in the ballast on this one, coming up at least to the switch, and then finish off scenery just in this little spot. So I will spend the rest of the video doing a little bit more detailing around the engine house before I go back to the workbench and then start building the water tank that's going to fit somewhere in here. So Thursday night is coming to an end, and I have got more done. I sifted some more dirt from the garden that I had. Got the ballast in, just loose right now. I have not glued it in position yet. I will here fairly soon. I'm also going to use another one of the little junk piles. This is going to be out behind the engine house here. I'll add weeds, I'll add some other debris and some other stuff right in that area here, as well as grass and other things along the side of the engine house once I get the ballast and the initial groundwork put in. I will wait to do much more over here. I know I will add in some more cork in this area, but until I get my water tank built, I just don't know where. One of the other projects I'm going to do here soon, and maybe on this video yet, is I will put my crossing in place. This road that I originally had intended to come over here is going to work out well in this area. So I can use the material I got from eBay that I did the engine house floor with, and I can get that put in here and here and here to get me over to there. That material works well. The road's going to work in this spot. So, that gives me access to here, that gives me access over here. I can have parking for the crew that's working up here. So that's going to work. So let's see what else I can get done on this video yet here over the next few days. Thursday night comes to an end. I'm going in. So I've got the glue in on the ballast, sprayed it down with the isopropyl alcohol, and then used my 50/50 dilute white glue. Gave everything a good soak. Now I will just let it dry. I did glue down the junk pile with a dab of wood glue. If I ever want it up, I can take a putty knife or an old beat up wood chisel and just pop it. That'll come up pretty easily. Still got to do some additional gluing in and around here at the seam, but this one just nice, slow and easy to get the ballast in, so I'm not sticking the tables together. So what I'll do tomorrow after the glue dries is I can put my crossing boards in. I'll use roughly 8 scale feet long or foot long boards. Crossing the 3 tracks should look pretty good. Then I can build up the road in that area here, and then do additional details in and around the engine house once I get it put back on. Add some grass, some weeds, start looking through my junk bins and some other stuff for where I've got barrels and other things to put out there, so I can start detailing that and go from there. So making some good progress on this little scene here. Well, Friday morning, been out on the layout just a little bit, starting to get some of the basic ground cover in around the engine house, and you can see it's still wet with the glue. The engine house I have set back in. I've done my best not to get too much glue in and around where the supports are, and I'll dust off the side of the building. I will let it sit there for a little while, then I'll pull it off before the glue sets, but that way I've got the outline firmly etched in the materials that are right up beside the building. The glue is dried on the ballast, so that looks pretty good. Over here I've added more material, hence the wet look. I will add in a little dirt path, and again right now there's glue will dry, and then I'll add in a little bit more to highlight it, come in from that door on that side of the shed. I will also add like a little walkway going across over here, so I'll add a few small boards right here just to make like a little footpath, probably a couple of boards laying down, going to there, and then over this way. That way whoever's working in this area can come over into the shed. I think I still have an outhouse kit somewhere. Pretty sure I bought 2 of those. I've got to find it, and then I will build that and put that somewhere, and maybe right there. I don't know. To sort of hide the seam along here, I will add in grass tufts that I will plant just to kind of finish this off. Might even plant some on top of this, my edging. I can put a little bit of wax paper in behind. You can take and pull it a little bit just so that the grass tufts actually hide the seam. And if I ever need to take the fascia off, well, the grass tufts will be glued to it. Those will come off, and then when I put it back on, it'll cover it right back up. So anyway, a little bit more to do on this one, then I will wrap up this video. I think I will get the crossing pieces in, just to show that, and then call this one good, and then pick it up fresh, doing something different. So this is going to wrap it up for this one. I've added a few tufts of grass. You can see a little bit over on the other side of the pile. Just started along here. I'll let the glue dry well on all of this before I do anything more. But I did get my crossings in place. I used that strip wood I got off eBay. Really nice, and I got piles of it left. The fact that it's already pre-stained makes it easy. So I think that turned out pretty well. I can start to build like the road. I'm not going to do too much yet until I get more of this done over here and I know the layout of how the buildings are going to be. Over here I've got a fairly good idea, so I can start do more scenery, more odds and ends in this area, and I've got a whole bunch of people that I can also start to get out, workers that I can start to place around the engine house a little bit. Still got more work to do there, put in a little bit of grass, odds and ends, but anyway, making some progress. So with that, keep having fun on your layouts. Until next time.